Disturbing new developments in the case of imprisoned former Border Patrol agents Ignacio Ramos and Jose Compean. There's more evidence the federal government not only granted the illegal alien smuggler immunity from prosecution to testify against the agents, but it also cleared the way for him to smuggle more drugs into the United States. Casey Wian has our report.
In February 2005, illegal alien Osvaldo Aldrete Davila was found smuggling 743 pounds of marijuana near Fabens, Texas. He led Border Patrol agents on a high-speed pursuit and fled back to Mexico. But during the pursuit, Davila was wounded by agents Ignacio Ramos and Jose Compean, who failed to properly report the shooting. They're now serving 11 and 12 years in federal prison, largely because federal prosecutors gave drug smuggler Davila immunity to testify against the agents. They also gave Davila a border crossing card so he could receive medical treatment in the United States. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher obtained documents through a Freedom of Information request proving that visa was in effect at the same time a DEA report shows Davila was involved in smuggling another load of marijuana across the border.
These documents verify drug dealer Aldrete Davila had an unconditional, unescorted access pass to cross into the United States. Free access passes were issued to him even after he was identified by the Drug Enforcement Agency in a second drug smuggling incident.
The U.S. Attorney in Texas, Johnny Sutton, faced harsh questioning at a Senate hearing on the case last week.
The question is, do you believe it was a mistake to give this kind of humanitarian, ongoing parole visa to a drug dealer?
I guess what I would say is, if it turns out
yes or no, Mr. Sutton.
If it turns out he ran another load of dope, obviously it's a huge mistake. If he didn't run another load of dope, it's not a mistake. The bottom line is we don't know yet whether he ran another load of dope. My team is trying to figure that out, and as soon as we get competent, admissible evidence to charge him, we would.
Federal prosecutors successfully persuaded a judge to prevent jurors in the Ramos-Compean case from hearing about Davila's second load of drugs.
I think he had an obligation at that point to move for dismissal because the key witness whose testimony was going to send the two Border Patrol agents to jail had proven that that any bit of reliability or credibility that he had possessed after the first drug deal, he certainly didn't possess after the second drug deal.
That is expected to be a key part of the agent's appeals. The House will hold hearings into the Ramos-Compean case next week. Prosecutor Johnny Sutton has refused to appear, prompting calls for his resignation.
The skunk is in the prosecutor's office in Texas. And when you know you got a skunk, you better get him out. No longer can the American people stand by and see this injustice of these two border agents who deserve freedom.
Lawmakers are demanding that President Bush free Ramos and Compean immediately. Congressman Rohrabacher also received copies of letters between the Mexican government and the Department of Homeland Security about Aldrete Davila. They failed to provide evidence that Mexico pressured the United States to prosecute the Border Patrol agents. But they do contain an interesting statement by the Consul General of Mexico in El Paso. He called illegal alien drug smuggler Aldrete Davila a victim. Kitty.
That's very disturbing. Thanks very much, Casey Wian.
Okay.
And we will be in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday for the congressional investigation into the prosecution and sentencing of former Border Patrol agents. Now, please join us 6 p.m. That's on Tuesday for a special edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight. A federal grand jury this week indicted a Mexican businessman on charges that he aided in the production of methamphetamine destined for the United States. Now, this case highlights the thriving global meth trade. Drug enforcement officials now say shutting down small homegrown meth labs in the U.S. has led to rising meth imports from Mexico. Meth that's delivered along the same routes already proven successful for drug cartels. Christine Romans reports.
Meth, crystal meth, ice, dangerous, addictive, and deadly. As homegrown meth labs in the United States have been shut down, in its place, a sophisticated, lucrative global trade has emerged. Jacqueline Byers surveys sheriffs about meth and its effects in their communities.
The users are still out there, and they're going to find a way to get their drugs. If they can't manufacture it, they're going to purchase it. And there are always people who are looking to cash in on that kind of addiction. So those streams from Mexico and other places are jumping into place.
Law enforcement has been shutting down American meth labs. The Drug Enforcement Administration reports a 42% decline in homegrown labs in just 1 year. Officials raided labs and lawmakers restricted the chemicals found in cold and allergy medicines, chemicals that can be cooked in a makeshift lab to make meth. A court complaint this week against an alleged chemical dealer to meth traffickers states clandestine meth labs over the past 3 years have increased significantly in Mexico while decreasing in the United States. In testimony last year, the DEA administrator Karen Tandy said precursor chemicals from India and China are being rerouted through new places like Cairo and South Africa before going to Mexico. And, quote, in a more disturbing trend, we began seeing Chinese organized crime groups in Canada selling tens of thousands of pills that looked like and were marketed as ecstasy, but instead were 100% methamphetamine. Those meth pills are now turning up in the U.S.
Now, more than 4 months after that huge stash of money was found, Yigan is behind bars. The Mexican government has formally asked for his extradition. His next hearing is Friday. Christine Roman, CNN News.